So today we are working on this 2005 Honda Civic LX. This one has the D17A1 engine, non-VTEC 1.7 liter engine. So what we are doing today is doing a brake bleed to flush out all that fluid from the brake reservoir and the brake piping. The manual suggests doing recommended intervals of 30,000 miles on brake fluid change. It is also suggested not to do a vacuum pump system. Vacuum pump systems are great for just sucking the fluid out and putting new fluid in. But the problem with that is that sediment material gets stuck inside of the housing inside of the caliper and in the bleeder nipple. So all that sediment that's in the bleeder nipple and inside the caliper housing where the fluid comes in kind of just stays there when you vacuum out the fluid. Whereas opposed to doing an actual pressurized bleed through the brake nipples themselves will help remove those sediments that have built up in there. It's not necessarily too hard. The vacuum system is pretty straightforward and easy, but we're going to be doing a hydraulic line bleed today. And so for tools, what we've got is our floor jack up the car, jack stand to support the car. We are balancing the car on a piece of wood under the transmission housing. So we jacked up off of the jacking point that is shown right here. Right behind this, it's a metal plate. Jack up off of that, get your car on the jack stand. Come take your wheels off. They are 19 millimeter lug nuts. And so the bleeding order is the front driver, front passenger, rear driver. So a nice little square. So what we need to do first is get yourself 10 millimeter box end wrench. You're probably going to want to use this end of it. Come over to your nipple for your caliper. Should have a dust cover on it, this little rubber cap. Pull that off, set it aside. Take your 10 mil, get it on there, and then just break the nipple loose, and then close it back up. That's just to make sure it's good and loose and is ready to be turned on and off to do the bleed through. Make sure your fluid is on hand. Go to our fluids cabinet. .3 brake fluid. I prefer to use full synthetic. If you're doing this in a vehicle that's being tracked or heavy duty usage for either towing for some reason with a Civic, or any type of situation where you're going to get a lot of heat in the brake, there are a few other brake fluid alternatives that are rated to a higher boiling point, somewhere in like the 500 to 600 degree range. But for what we're doing today, just some generic Prestone .3 brake fluid is going to do. It needs to be .3. This car is not rated for a .3-4 combo or a .4. And you're going to come up to your reservoir in your engine bay, right up here by the firewall on the driver's side. Take your cap off, set it aside, and you're going to want to make sure this is full as it is. And one of the suggestions is you can suck the fluid out of here and then fill this up with fresh fluid to make this go faster, because you're going to have to get all that dirty fluid through. I don't have anything handy to suck this out with, so what I'm going to do is bleed the first brake all the way down to almost empty in the reservoir, and then I'm going to fill it up with fresh fluid and do that bleeder again until I start getting clean fluid out of it. So the way I'm doing this is with an AutoZone purchased self-bleeder kit. Comes with a tube, a bottle, a little magnet so you can stick to stuffed metal, a little adapter nipple, and you can either take the hose off and slide it over the nipple, or with this you can actually slide it into the nipple itself, and it should get pretty tight on there. It's also going to be handy to have some shop towels right next to you. Always good to have shop towels in case you make a mess. And then what you're going to do is, if you're doing this without a self bleeder, you're going to have someone helping you do this. They're going to take this wrench and they are going to crack open and close the bleeder valve when you press down on the brake pedal. So basically how this is going to go is someone gets in the car, they step down on the brake to pressurize the brake system. Person at the brake releases that pressure, and the car keeps their foot on the pedal until person down here sees all the pressure come out. You see the tube fill up with fluid. They close it off, and they tell the person in the car, all good. They take their foot off the brake, and then they pump it again. And you keep going back and forth, and break down, loosen, tighten, break up, break down, loosen, tighten, break up. And it's usually pretty good just to get a system of verbalization going of like down, up, so the person in the car can stay synchronized on staying on the brake pedal. If they lift their foot from the brake pedal while the valve is open, it will suck this fluid back in and potentially suck in air too. With this self-bleeder system, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to crack this loose and leave it loose, and then I'm just going to pump the brake until this guy fills up. And then I'll come out here and close this off, and because it's completely filled with fluid by that point, there'll be no air voids in the hose. It'll keep air from entering the system. And then I will empty this and do it again. And that's pretty much it for doing a brake bleed on this 05 Honda Civic LX. This is identical to basically every Honda, every car essentially. All these bleeding procedures are going to be the same. The only difference will be some manufacturers will suggest a different order of bleeding the fluid. So again, this one is front driver, front passenger, rear passenger, rear driver. And that was per the Haynes manual for the 2001 to 2005 Honda Civic. And that pretty much wraps this up. If you guys got any questions, comments, leave them below the video. Let me know if there's something I missed that you needed to see in this video. This is pretty straightforward. The only thing to really keep in mind when you're doing this is, especially as someone doing a self-bleeder kit, you need to repeatedly be coming out and checking your reservoir and making sure that it's still full. If you empty your reservoir below the min line, it will probably suck air into the system, and you'll have to pump through the whole system again. Even if you made it to the last bleeding line, if you get air in from the reservoir, you're going to have to pump all the systems again to make sure that air gets out. So I would suggest with the self-bleeder system, I've lined out to be about every 5 to 7 brake pedal pushes, I need to come and fill this up. It's better to fill it up sooner than later so you don't miss getting fluid in there and not sucking in air. And that is pretty much it, guys. Let me know if there's any other stuff you guys wanted to see on, a 2001, 2005 Honda Civic. This is just someone's car that I'm working on. I also did the valve filler gasket, spark plugs, coolant drain, and air filter check, transmission flush, and a power steering fluid flush. If you guys want to see any of that, I can run you through on it. Let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching.